The belly is starting to really pop out, and I honestly don't think I can put on those leggings again. Baby's getting so much bigger and just like starting to move around so much on ultrasound, and she's got these long legs and arms, and we are just so excited to be parents for the first time. The 16-week anatomy scan went so good. She's meeting all of her milestones and developing exactly as she should. She's now 5 inches long and weighing 6 ounces. 8 ounces is half a pound, and so she's not quite half a pound, but her heart rate is perfect. It's in the 140s. I always do a quick little Dopp tones at work because I'm a labor and delivery nurse, so I don't like to go more than like 2 weeks without hearing her heartbeat. It is a little easier now because I can kind of feel her like bumping around a little bit. Like I feel a little bit of movement, but not a ton, just like little flutters. Most people just get a 20-week ultrasound, but we just opted in for the 16-week because insurance offered it to us. We also had to get a cervical length done at that time because I've had a LEAP procedure done before, and so I'm a little bit higher risk for my cervix shortening. And it was a good thing that we did that 16-week test because when we finished the scan, they told me that I had a complete placenta previa. Luckily, it's so early, and so it's like 95% of the time that resolves on its own, so I'm not worried about that at all. So at this anatomy scan, they just look for any and all genetic abnormalities that could be there, and it's kind of like an early screening. They're going to look at the brain, they're going to look at the skeleton, they're going to look at the kidneys, all of the organs, the hands and feet, and they're looking for spina bifida and Down syndrome and just anything that could be going wrong structurally with baby. They looked at baby's heart, and luckily the blood was flowing the way it's supposed to through all 4 chambers, and baby's heart rate was normal. Everything looked perfect with the heart. They looked at the brain, and they want to make sure there's no fluid around the brain or just anything that's not supposed to be there, and that the brain is developing like it should be. They also look at baby's position in the uterus because I guess based on the position, it can cause like clubbed feet or clubbed hands. And so they look for that. They look at the hands and the feet to make sure that there's 10 fingers and 10 toes, even though this 16-week is a little bit too early to kind of like count fingers and toes. All of the structures should be there, but you may not be able to see like the fine details like that. So that's more in the 20-week scan that you can get those fine details. When they look at all the organs too, they make sure that there's nothing like protruding outside of the abdominal wall or anything like that. I remember when I was in nursing school, I was doing my rotations at like a very high risk pediatric hospital, and there was a baby whose intestines were essentially like born outside of the abdominal wall, and they had to do surgery to fix it, and it's really scary. So they're looking for that early to make sure that there's nothing like that going on. They're also going to look at the kidneys and make sure that they're not like super swollen, because I guess if the kidneys are swollen, it means that the baby is not able to urinate properly, and it's kind of like causing edema in the kidneys. So essentially they're just looking at like the basic structures of the baby. So they're looking at all of the limbs, they can see facial features, and this one, baby was not cooperating. She was actually, her face was towards my back, and so they could not see her facial structure at all. And so I guess that's another reason to do like a 16-week and then a 20-week scan, is because if they can't see certain things with the baby, like we could not see her profile, her mouth really at all. And I got up and tried to like move her around, but she was not cooperating. And so they couldn't check to see if she had cleft lip or anything like that. And so that's something that we'll do at the 20-week. Also, if you don't know the gender of your baby yet, we found out pretty early because we did a blood test. But if you don't know the gender, then they can actually tell you what the gender is at 16 weeks. And something that I did not think about that I wish that we would have done is I wish we would have had like the ultrasound tech put the gender in an envelope and not look at it, and then give it to the people who are making a cake to do a gender reveal or whatever we decided. And that way there's no chance of them slipping up and telling us the gender, because I have to tell this story in another video. It's a long story, but the guy that Anyways, when they were doing our gender reveal, they told us the gender. So annoying, but that's what happened. So when they told me that I had placenta previa, I was thinking, oh, that's probably so common, like in early pregnancy, 16 weeks. And I wasn't really worried because they told me it's like a 95% chance that my placenta is gonna move off of the cervix as my belly grows. So I hope that that's what happens. But I looked it up and it says that placenta previa, even at 16 weeks, there's only one pregnancy in 200 where someone has placenta previa. So it's not actually as common as I thought. I know that if the placenta previa does not resolve, then you cannot have a vaginal delivery, and that it can cause like other issues in pregnancy, like with bleeding and things like that. So they tell you be careful with intercourse, and some doctors say don't get on a flight. And then obviously if it sticks around and you start bleeding, then that can cause preterm labor and other serious issues. So I'm just praying that I'm just like the 95% who this is going to resolve. Overall, the scan went really good. It was so good to see her just like wiggling around on the monitor, and she's always like, moving her hands and feet and all the things. So that's really, really good that she's just moving and happy and just seems to be doing really well. The scan took forever. Like, I was in there for like an hour and a half, and I figured out at the end because a second girl came in and she was like, I'm just going to finish up the scan for you. And I realized, because I was like, I think this other girl is new or something. And she was just taking forever. But it was cool because usually when they're very experienced, the ultrasound tech, they're just like boom, 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 boom. And you can't really like see baby moving around a lot. And you don't really have time to ask a ton of questions. They just get the measurements they need. They look at all the organs and do what they need to do and get you out of there. But with this girl, she was just taking her time. It seemed like she was having more trouble finding certain organs, and so we got to see the baby like just moving around a lot more on the ultrasound and stuff. So it was a blessing in disguise. I really enjoyed it, even though we were in there for like seriously an hour and a half. We're going back in 4 weeks for the 20-week scan, and I'll definitely give you guys an update and let you know how that scan goes and if they do anything different than this one. I've kind of been doing like a scan every 4 weeks and an OB appointment. So I'll do 2 separate appointments. One is the ultrasound, and then the other one I'll go and see my OB. And so we'll do a 20-week ultrasound. I actually won't see my OB at the 20 weeks. So 16 weeks, I see my OB, and then 24 weeks. So that was like a crazy gap. I was like, dang, I'm not going to see my OB for 2 months. That seems like such a long time. If you are pregnant now, or if you've recently had a baby, or if you remember your pregnancy, like, did you do a 16-week appointment? Or I was researching, and it seems like a lot of people don't do a 16-week appointment. They think it's unnecessary. They don't understand why you're sitting an hour through an ultrasound when you can just do a 20-week. And I kind of agree, but at the same time, I'm really happy I did my 20-week because, like I said, we could not see her face, her profile. She would not flip over. And so they're going to do that at the next scan. So I don't know. And it's also like so reassuring to me that she's healthy, she's well, like she has no abnormalities. Her heart is functioning properly. She has no spina bifida. Her spine looks perfect. Like, and just to hear the doctor say like everything looks perfect with her is just like such a relief. And I don't know, just gives me a warm feeling. So I wouldn't want to wait another 4 weeks to find out if there's any genetic defects. All right, I love you guys. I will talk to you soon, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.